Numero uno. First episode of the podcast. First of many, I hope. Before you know it, we're going to be on episode 250.
Oh, yeah.
So we record every Friday night, and then it's going to be up at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. So everybody here is from a different country, so you're going to notice all the different accents, for sure. And we're all from a different age group, I would say. We're all, like, teens and 20s, but there's some difference, This podcast is about PlayStation and only PlayStation, so you're not going to hear anything about Nintendo or anything about Microsoft. Maybe if it affects PlayStation in some way, we'll mention it. Although we will mention third-party games or something like that. As long as it comes on the PlayStation platform, we'll mention it. So you're not gonna hear about Halo because that's the big story right now. It's the memes everywhere. It's my avatar on Discord. So let's start with intros. Let's start with James. Where can we follow you?
I'm James. You can follow me on Twitter at UntitledSmithy. And
let's go with Dory.
Hi, my name is Dory. I go by she/her pronouns. I am found on Twitter at Declare192, CLYERE.
Cool.
Yeah.
And let's go with Fran.
Hey, I'm Fran. You can follow me on Twitter at __Francesco_P_.
Who else? And we got Mitch.
Lucky last. Hi, I'm Mitch. You can find me on Twitter at uneducatedpop under the uneducated film geek username, because why not?
Cool. And you're not last because I'm gonna be last, but so I'm Seb.
Oh, you haven't said yours yet.
Yeah, I'm Sebastian. I'm the host of the podcast. I'll be hosting all the podcasts. I'm the one who has to do all the notes and everything, all the research. So let's start with what we're currently playing. And this doesn't have to be exclusive to PlayStation. You can say whatever you're playing. So let's start with Dory.
Hi, I'm actually literally was just playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, me too.
It's really good. We'll talk about it later. But I am just about done with Act 1. But I've been playing that. I've been playing... I was playing Mario Odyssey for a little bit for the first time. But I haven't been able to go back to it because of Tsushima. So Tsushima's mostly what I've been playing when I have the spare time.
Cool. James.
Yeah, I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima also. That's it at the moment.
Fran?
Well, I'm also playing Ghost, but I thought, there's a game I'm playing on the side. I've been playing I found my old Game Boy, so I've been playing a lot of F-Zero.
Oh, nice.
Don't know why.
Oh, nice.
I have.
Well, thank God somebody's playing something that's not Ghost of Tsushima.
I haven't played F-Zero in a long time. Mitch, you're the only one that's not playing it, right?
Yes, literally the only person in here who does not currently have Ghost of Tsushima.
Well,
which hurts a little, but...
I am playing it. I just got to Act 2 just like an hour ago. I'm doing all the collectibles. I think I got like 1/4 of the collectibles, so it's a really long game. It's going to be one of those long platinums. It's going to be a good 60 hours, I would say.
Jesus.
I'm also playing Halo 2. I'm on like Act 10, so I'm pretty at the end. And then I'm going to go into Halo 3. I'm playing the Master Chief Collection on Steam, and then I'm playing Gears 5, I'm on like Act 3. That game is pretty long itself, only because it has like weird open world sections. But this is not a review for that. But so that's what I'm playing right now, and I'm playing a little Animal Crossing here and there, like when I'm bored or something. Because that game.
Damn, our host, the eclectic.
Yeah, that game. That game takes like.
Loads of great PlayStation games there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I play everything on the Earth, so.
Yeah.
So next,
I think I saw Master Chief hanging out with Aloy one time, so pretty sure.
Okay, that checks out.
Oh yeah, best buds. Yeah. I guess I'm not playing Ghost of Tsushima, obviously. But I think I know. I guess if I had to, what have I been playing? I've kind of been going between everything, but I think the two main things I've been going between currently is BioShock Infinite. I'm playing through that for the first time, which great game, loving it so far. And also on the side, I've been playing some Rogue Company, which I got alpha access to. Couldn't say anything, all hush hush, but now it's in closed beta, so I'm just sort of getting into it again in preparation for an impressions video. So hopefully that'll be up soon.
Nice. Is that everyone? I think so, right?
I think so.
I think so.
So
Yes.
next topic, G4 is back. Oh my god! Like this totally caught me off guard today. I mean, you guys might be a little too young, but G4 was our big video game channel on TV when we were little. Like it was
G4 was so
it was the
weird.
shit. It was the shit.
It was so weird. So I grew up with G4
Yep.
in the mid 2000s. I watched X-Play,
Yep.
Attack of the Show.
Oh my god!
I watched Cheat.
Mm-hmm.
They had some in the early goings. They were really experimental. I vaguely remember they had some CG shows that will probably look terrible now.
Right.
But they were all about video games.
Yep. Oh, what was that show where they edited all the clips of the video games together? And they played
Cinna something.
Yeah, Ugh. I wrote it down somewhere. Anyway, yeah. So X-Play was the big one. X-Play, Morgan Webb and Adam Sussler. That's when they reviewed games. They'd be like, "That's a 5 out of 5." You know what I mean? They used to do skits and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like pre-YouTube, so
I remember watching.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I actually remember watching all of their videos on YouTube, like that have been archived from when they first aired. So it's like, I didn't even know they were coming back. This is news to me.
Well, that's the irony.
News to me.
That's the irony, though, because that's what killed it, really. Because once we started getting into YouTube and Twitch and things like that, like you didn't really need it. You didn't need it anymore. The ratings started declining.
The exact in Australia, we actually had an X-Play type show called Good Game. Which aired on like basically our equivalent of BBC or like that sort of stuff. And the exact same thing happened there. It it was much more recently. It got cancelled in like 2017, I think. But it was basically I think at the start of every episode they'd say a show for gamers, by gamers, and it was as a kid it was the coolest shit ever. Like if you weren't watching Good Game, you weren't living.
Right.
But no, I'm glad G4's back.
Really interested to see where G4 goes. I remember X-Play used to do a lot of these really weird skits.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at like the former program that they had. I remember Arena, which was maybe one of the first shows on TV to ever focus on like
Arena.
esports.
Right.
As a thing. Code Monkeys was really popular, though I don't think I ever got into it. They had Icons, which did a lot of video game history. That's how I learned a lot about video games. They just had a lot of really cool stuff. They also had, this is more tech TV, but they used to have Robot Wars. I used to watch that stuff all the time. It was so fun.
Absolutely. And they weren't like fake gamers. They were legit people. Like, I mean, they weren't like it wasn't corporate's version of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it definitely felt like you could have found Adam Sussler right off the street, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
of San Francisco. Yeah. It looks just
So he just looked like a very normal guy, and it very probably X-Play influenced a lot. Thinking back on it, influenced a lot of my snarky, sarcastic humor. Like going forward, just getting that sense, and also like preferring the out of 5 score as opposed to IGN out of 10.
Right. And that was like the PS2 era. So like you would see games you didn't really know about, and you'd be like you'd be absolutely blown away. Like, oh, what the hell game is that? You know what I mean? But we'll get into that later on because people don't know what Blockbuster is.
Remind me.
So enough of the Americans talking about G4. We'll talk about Ghost of Tsushima impressions. Mitch, you're gonna have to sit this one out, I guess.
Yeah. Bye, guys. No.
So
Mitch, no, he's getting sucked into a portal.
So I'll start with Dory just because she just got off it. So, what do you think of it?
I am just about done with Act 1. I just had a boss fight, and now I'm fighting more Mongols, and I won't give any spoilers, but I'm pretty dang close to finishing Act 1. It's been about so I've been playing for around 15 to 20 hours now. It's hard to say because PlayStation doesn't give you a timer, but I've been really enjoying it. The stealth combat's very simple, like other folks have said, but I think it gets the job done fine. I do actually find the stealth somewhat challenging sometimes. It depends where you are in the game. But overall, I find it satisfying, and I mostly focus on ghost stuff. I don't like to do samurai unless, not that I think it's bad. just
Right.
that I prefer to be stealthy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do the samurai stuff, it's good. Like the pairing is really good. The stances are fun.
Right.
Mixing that in with the ghost stuff is really fun.
Yep.
And I mean, to point out the obvious, the game is gorgeous. The
Definitely.
developers should be ashamed of themselves for making such a beautiful game. Because sometimes I'll just like look in the distance and I'll be like,
Yeah.
look, there's like just a point where like you're just being arrogant about how good your goddamn graphics are.
I know.
Like, it's just ridiculous.
It ruined environments for me in games now. Like if the games are
right.
not if the games don't look that great to me, it's like it's not acceptable anymore. Every game has to
That's
look like
right.
that in the background now. Like that game's gorgeous, and it's only on like what 1.2 teraflops. I mean that's crazy.
Yeah, I have to keep stopping. I've not gone as far as you, Dory, because I probably played like a similar amount just because I keep stopping to use the photo mode, and that's like been a serious halt in my playthrough. But like what you were saying as well about the combat, it's interesting because I actually prefer the samurai stuff, just because the stealth it feels a little rough and ready, you know.
I'm with James
like
on that one.
you sort it's like it's just your sort of generic
Yeah.
list
for sure.
mode
It's-
for enemies and stuff, and you know
Yeah.
it's I don't know, like the attacks when you're sort of stealth sort of assassinating enemies, it feels a little like you're just going up behind them pressing square and an animation plays
Right.
rather than you're sort of going around taking people out.
Yeah, and the AI is like really stupid. Like you can really trick them, and like if you stealth in front of them, like they lose where you are, and then it's weird. Oh, you can like walk right in front of them, and they don't see you at all. Like it's kind of, and like
It does, yeah.
and you can like stab them in the back, and then like the guy will just sit there and watch you stab them. You know what I mean? Like there's the animation. You know what I mean? They don't interrupt it or anything. Like
Yeah, it does feel a little outdated in that sense.
Yeah, it's very simple. I mean, it feels a lot like Shadow of Mordor to me, or basically any Ubisoft game. It's like it doesn't do anything new in terms of the combat or the gameplay or anything like that. It's this very standard open world third person action game. You know, you go to different camps, you kill enemies, you do investigation missions. There's a lot of those. You know, you got to find the clues and you walk around. Very standard stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And like that's the thing as well. Like I was saying,
It's very
the stealth. It feels a lot like you're going behind and just pressing
Yeah.
square to do an animation. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
very dynamic,
No.
and so it doesn't feel that rewarding to me.
Yeah.
So that's why I've not been doing stealth when possible, because the regular combat feels a lot more dynamic, and
It
it feels
does,
like
yeah.
I have a lot more control, and it's so satisfying
Right.
getting one of them perfect parries off,
Right.
and getting one of that bit when you like execute an enemy, and it just the blood just goes everywhere,
Definitely.
It's maybe a bit gratuitous, but
And
at the
I-
same
I
time.
just want to
Go
be
ahead.
clear that it's not like the stealth gameplay is particularly revolutionary, right? I've played as I know I shouldn't be making this comparison, but I don't care. I've played Assassin's Creed before, so
Right.
I do think the stealth is bog standard, but I'm a sucker for stealth. I really enjoy the aesthetic. I agree that I like the animations, but I agree that they're not super dynamic or anything, and the
Yeah.
AI is not particularly intelligent. If you break line of sight and just go to stealth back, they'll usually look for like about 20 seconds, and then they'll go back to the original positions. So yeah, not exactly winning any science fairs anytime soon.
Mhm.
But like I don't know, I still enjoy it. I still find
Oh.
myself getting caught every now and then. Usually in more crowded,
Yeah.
difficult areas, though. To be fair,
Mhm.
where there's a lot more enemies. But I like doing a little bit of both. I'll usually ghost until I can't ghost anymore, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll do a standoff or I'll do whatever.
Well, I mean, before the game even came out, I made a vow that I was gonna play the game like a samurai and just take on the whole towns all at once. You know what I mean? Like
How's that going, by the way?
Very
Sometimes
well,
that seems
actually.
overwhelming to me.
It can be, but if you prioritize the archers, because they're the biggest nuisance, and then you prioritize the shields, you can.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well about the way the combat is set up. Like, it feels, even if you are sort of like vastly outnumbered, it feels like if you're careful enough, you can take on like 20 guys at one time.
You can. Very Shadow Mordor, like that's what I like about you, like a one-man army. I'm too influenced by Rurouni Kenshin to not play the game like that. You know what I mean? I just want to be the wandering samurai that just walks into towns and takes everybody on.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you would be using a reverse blade then and not killing anyone, but you know.
That's fair. But I'm Batosai.
I also grew up with Baroni, so.
I'm Batosai the Manslayer in my game.
But yeah, before the game came out though, I was worried because I played Sekiro obviously last year, and that game is like peak sort of samurai combat with blocking and parrying and that sort of thing, and like I thought this would be a lot more sort of hack and slash, but I'm really like pleasantly surprised that it plays more methodical.
It plays a lot like Neo because you can because you have to pace yourself. You can't just like run into a fight. You know what I mean? You'll get surrounded and things like that. And you also get different stances and stuff. And I love this. I don't know if you guys unlocked all the stances yet, because I have all 4 of them now. Like
I have 3 out of 4.
Yeah, like it really makes a difference. Like you can, and I love that it slows the fight. Like you can slow it. You're in slow mo when you change the kind of like Horizon, when you change your weapon or whatever. And you can just like be in the middle of a fight, kick the guy, change your stance in slow motion, and then it's really fun that way. Combat's amazing. The animation. The character models are not like they're not bad, but they're not great. You know what I mean? Like it's an open world game. You know what I mean? It's not The Last of Us. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
On this priority list.
Yeah. Oh, Fran, what do you like about the game?
Moving away from the combat side of stuff,
yeah.
I think they've used the world really well. Like I've been on Act 1. I've been on like the final mission I have left to do for Act 1. For about like a week or 2 weeks now, and I don't know how I'm not doing that mission. I've just been doing everything else apart from that mission.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, okay, tonight I'm gonna go and do that mission. I still haven't done it. I'm probably not going to for the next week. It's pretty insane how they've managed to make it so interesting to just like walk around in that world. And also something to point out about the stealth and that kind of thing. I've been going in more samurai, not because I don't enjoy the stealth, but because coming off of a game like Last of Us Part 2 where the stealth is so good and like dynamic and stuff, then going to play Ghost of Tsushima, I want a change of pace, so I want to play something that's a bit more, you go in one-man army style.
Right, yeah.
I was just thinking about that. Like, it's weird that I'm still, I don't know, like when I play D&D, like I'm very roguish, so I just love stealth. I don't, as a general thing, and so I totally get that, Fran. Like I totally get, like I feel like my natural inclination should be exactly what you're saying. Like right after playing Last of Us Part 2, where I was basically a rogue and mixed with a ranger in D&D speak. But instead, like I'm playing Ghost, but I'm also doing. I mean, it's not like I'm never doing samurai, right? There are some missions that force you to do samurai, and those are great. And sometimes, like I said, when I'm done ghosting, I go samurai, which is great too. So I definitely feel like it's a weird thing.
That's true. I mean, it's personal taste because I'm not really a big stealth guy. I'm more like a Viking. I'd rather charge in. Like every character I always play in Dungeons and Dragons is usually a warrior type of character or berserker kind of thing. So I always like being in the tank and stuff. So
I also want to talk about the quieter moments in Tsushima, which I feel are really good. The haikus, the hot spring, the
ass shot. You should.
the I was gonna mention it, but thank you, Seb. Yes. There's actually a really funny clip of the voice actor of Jin going like yes, and he's like, why am I yesing at my own ass?
Yes.
And you get the pet foxes. I mean, how is this not Game of the Year? Well, it's not Game of the Year. But how is it not?
10 out of 10. Pet the foxes.
10 out of 10. You get the pet foxes. I mean, in Last of Us, you get the pet, like, 3 or 4 dogs. So I don't know.
Ghost of Tsushima is better. So that's what you're saying.
I guess, yeah.
Game of the Year.
Get the pet foxes.
Yeah, listen, I feel like it'd be a disservice to not talk about the photo mode. Like, I don't know if you guys have spent... I don't know if you guys have spent any time playing around with it.
Nope.
Yes.
I just watched your videos.
Sure.
I have. Oh, sorry, Mitch. What was that?
No, I just said not as much as you, James. I'm sure. No one else has that much time in photo mode.
I have, but I am in awe of how much time James spends in the photo mode. So I bow to you, and I'll let you take the floor on this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know, like every now and then, like the game will throw a scene at you, and it just looks so gorgeous that you have to stop. And like the photo mode in this game is one of the best I've at least recently. I think it's probably one of my favorites up there with like Gran Turismo Sport, where it's like it has that thing that Horizon Zero Dawn has, where you can change the time of day.
Right.
And I feel like every photo mode should have that, because like that way you can influence the lighting, and especially in an open world game where like you aren't going through these scenes where the lighting is tailor made to like highlight the characters, like in The Last of Us or something like that.
Right.
So like in an open world game, I feel like that's really a big thing to be able to manipulate the lighting.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you can change the weather, you can add fog to add some depth and
Absolutely.
stuff.
It's gorgeous. But
Yeah, no, definitely.
But on the other hand, the open world kind of hurts the game. Oh, it hurts the game a lot, really. Like, a lot of the missions get very repetitive. It's the same, investigate this, go get the clue, oh, escort this guy, follow this person. And then and they put so many collectibles. There's like, just for the banners alone, there's 80 of them. And that's just the one, and like, the first map is just, it's like, it has the problem with the Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or any Ubisoft game where it's just like, they put too much content in it. Because a lot of the missions really aren't that great to me. I mean, they're fine. It's a standard video game, but it's not like...
Sure.
It could be better, more contained narratives that are just more enjoyable.
I think Tsushima is like the perfect like 8 out of 10 kind of game,
Exactly.
or like 4 out of 5 kind of game.
Yeah.
Like, it has great aspects,
Right.
but it also has some aspects that are okay. Like, I think the combat's really great, and the world is really great,
Right.
but I
Absolutely.
do agree that it gets that open world repetitiveness.
Right.
If I didn't like the combat so much, and if I wasn't moderately invested in the story, like, I probably would have quit by now. But because I enjoy that combat loop, and I enjoy the scenery and like what's going to happen next, like, you know, I'm moving forward. But I did so many side quests before I continued the main story.
I think the best part of the game, though, is just how authentic it is. Like, there's a reason why it's like it's sold out in Japan, because it's just so authentic to Japan's culture.
It's sold out?
Yeah, it's totally sold out in Japan.
Yeah, they're having stock issues in Japan, I think.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Oh wait, I think I heard something about that.
And it's the fastest selling PlayStation new IP of all time, I believe. It's
which is insane, considering that, like, you know, a lot of, you know, creatives and developers, you know, nowadays have like sort of this stigma around them where it's like, we can't do anything different. We have to, like, you know, continue these like franchises until they just sort of bleed out right before us.
Right.
But like, no, it's amazing, honestly, that like a new IP can just get that kind of recognition and support.
And not just that, it's a Western developer doing authentic Japan. You know what I mean? Like they that's crazy. Like, it's an American company doing it. They're like, I think Sucker Punch is in Seattle or Washington. So so that's what I really appreciate about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to backtrack like a little bit as well, about like the checklist, like. Yeah, like the checklist missions, they're sort of bland and everything, but like the weird thing is about those is like, I feel like it depends on the rest of the game. Like, if the game is solid enough where you want to spend time in that world, and you know it's just fun to go around and to do the combat and everything, then those missions, they're not really a bother, because you're happy to go and do them all just to sort of spend more time there. But then if the game ends up not being good in those other aspects, then that also hurts those things, because you don't want to spend time, you know, doing those things.
Right. And what do you guys think of the story? I think it's pretty standard, you know. Bad guys invading.
So far, I'm not super impressed, but I like where it's going. I will say, when it comes to story and the side quests, I like the tales generally more than I like the just general side quests that are one and done. But it's kind of unfair to compare them, because the tales have so much more room to develop story. I mean, you know, I like a lot of the characters. I think the voice acting is generally good, and I think that the story they're trying to tell so far is interesting. I wouldn't say it's compelling like Last of Us, and I'm sorry I keep comparing this to Last of Us. I know they're very different games.
No, it's fair. It's fair.
But it's just the last major game I played, so it's tough to get super invested in the story when I just played that, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is what most video games are written like.
It's fine. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just, you know, it gets the job done. You know.
I hear it does get better as you go along, but I don't know that for sure. So.
Yeah, the side characters are just not clicking with me as much. I'm not really invested in these side characters that much. Like,
I love Lady Masako. Lady Masako is great. I saw
that's
someone
a good
joke that her story is better than Ellie's, and I just eye rolled. I was like, okay.
Anyone else got anything to add to Ghost of Tsushima?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything that I have.
Cool. Like I said, it's gonna be a long platinum. It's just, they put so much in that game. Oof. So let's get to the next topic. Next topic is the PS5. How much do you think it would be in your currency?
Oh, I mean, if the rumors in the industry sort of talk of it being 500 US.
Yeah, that's
what accurate. I'd say for Australia, like I mean, to put it in like context, I guess America, you guys usually get brand new games for $60. In Australia, we get them from $100 usually, $100 our currency.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even though value-wise they're basically the same thing. Yeah, on paper it sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's just the same. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I guess with that in mind, I'd say if in America it's about 500, I'd say 600, 650 in Australia, if not less, hopefully, unless they just sort of deflate the price a bit, which I'm all here for. But
all right. What about in the UK?
I don't know. I think it'll probably be about 500, 550 quid. I think if they make it any more than that, like that's sort of, I feel like that's getting into the territory where people are like, yeah, okay, this is for a games console. Historically, this is a bit much. It's weird because I feel like they're in a sort of a game of chicken with Microsoft, where neither of them want to reveal the price yet because they want to see what the other one's doing.
True. What about you, Fran?
I agree. I think it'll probably be around like 450 to 500 around there, and I think the digital version won't be as much. Everybody thinks it's gonna be loads cheaper, and I don't think it will be that much cheaper because really all you're losing is a disk drive. So it depends how much this costs, really.
I would think $50 cheaper. I don't know if it would be 100. I think that's a big.
People are gonna be pissed when they find out it's not $100 less. Sorry, you go for it.
What about Dory? How much do you think it would be here in the U.S.?
Okay. I'm gonna be really optimistic, just because I kind of like one in the first couple months, but I realize this is probably unrealistic. I think that the PS5 is gonna be somewhere around maybe 500 to 600 normally, and then if without the drive, then maybe 550, 450, ideally 400, but I don't think it'll go down to 400.
No,
I don't know. Yeah.
Because you gotta think these consoles are around a 1660 Ti or something like that. You know what I mean? You can't get a PC that good for $400. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean to throw PC talk at you guys, but if it's gonna be something around relatively around that area or something like that, there's no way it could be $400 unless they really take a huge cut. You know what I mean? A huge huge loss on that. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe they will. But I'm thinking $500 is the safe bet.
I reckon even if it is about 500, they're still taking a loss there probably.
Oh, they are. Yeah, I mean they take losses on consoles in general anyway.
I think 500 for the one with the disk drive and 450 without. But we'll see.
Now would $600 be a mistake?
I think you're getting into that sort of where that doesn't seem like it's too much, but also you're getting into that sort of mental barrier where it seems like a lot. Okay. For a bit, for value, because it is a games console and it's going to last you 7-8 years until the next generation. That is, unless it breaks. But for value, for sheer value, that's probably a good price. Right. But also, based on history and how much these things have cost in the past, it feels too much for people, and they want to sort of avoid that because that's how they lose the start of the generation if they
the PS3.
If they aim too high. Yeah, exactly.
Actually,
oh, go ahead, Mitch.
I was just gonna say, especially from a general, consumer point of view, 600, for a lot of people, 600 or 500 to $600 is a huge commitment. They don't usually spend that much money on anything
Right.
video games
Or
willy-nilly.
Right.
So, like, I think if they, like, I reckon 500 to 550 is like that sort of sweet spot. Like, because I think you do 500 to 550 people, like, a lot of the general audience are going to be, like, especially if they, like, sort of hear or see or understand, like, okay, this has, a lot of good hardware, a lot of good stuff in it. They're going to be like, 500 to 550 is like that sweet spot, I guess you could say, for the consumer. But I think if it starts tipping over the 600, 650, that sort of area, like, that's probably where they're going to lose a large amount of people.
And you got to put yourself in the shoes of, like, a parent, or, you know what I mean, like a casual.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're all hardcore gamers, so if the PlayStation was like $800, we'd probably shell it out at some point. You know what I mean? Like, but for like the average mom or dad, you know what I mean? The average mom or dad's not gonna. Because people always do that. Like, we always generalize all gamers as being like hardcore, but like most gamers, the majority of the market, the majority of the profit that Sony makes is off the casuals that only play Fortnite and Call of Duty every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the people you have to really appeal to sell your console.
And that's where, like, that a game of chicken I was talking about earlier comes in.
Right.
Because, like, if the even if, like, so, like, a parent has got their kid screaming for the new PlayStation, if it's £100 more, the parent's gonna, in a lot of cases, the parent's gonna go, I'll just get them the new Xbox instead.
Right.
That's
why Nintendo likes to be around $300.
Yeah.
The Nintendo's consoles or handhelds are always around $250, $300. And
yeah, I mean, for me, I don't see myself buying it pretty much no matter what. I'm really happy with my PS4 right now, and so I don't see myself getting.
Oh, I'm waiting
for
in line.
A while.
I'm waiting in line.
Yeah.
Launch day, like the PS4.
Yeah, I don't really like doing that kind of stuff. I mean, also it depends with COVID and stuff whether I'd even feel comfortable. But I just wouldn't want to.
That's fair.
Consoles have a long history, especially at launch, of being buggy or even having downright like serious issues.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's going to happen for PS5 or Xbox Series X. I don't know. It's we're not living in 360 era anymore.
Right.
But it is a possibility, and I'd rather them get the kinks out than me have to experience them. So I'm going to give them at least like 3 to 6 months, and then if the games are looking real good, which they probably will, because I'm a big PlayStation fan, I'll probably buy it.
Well, that goes to my next topic, which I was going to ask is, are you guys getting it day one? We'll start with Mitch.
It depends on like what the price is and where I'm going at, wallet wise, I guess, because it's like if I'm going to buy it myself, it's like $500 to $600 is a big commitment, especially when I've got uni and stuff.
I got it.
In the future.
Fear of missing out is a big deal as well. Is for me at least is a big thing. So I will probably get it day one. But
nice.
It probably depends as well what games come with it on day one as well. I mean, if NAC 3's there, then I'm camping outside the shop, baby.
I don't care if there's Corona. I'll camp if I have to.
Oh yeah. Anything for NAC.
Yeah, Fran.
I mean, it depends for me. Like, the price is obviously a point, but like I think depending on the games that come out, so like if they say that the new Ratchet or Demon Souls is coming out at launch, then 100% I'm gonna be there waiting for it.
I don't think it will,
even
though.
like Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've probably got one more launch title, because I can't see them just launching with Miles Morales, but
yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, well, there's a rumor.
There's also
a rumor this August that we're getting a thing, like a conference or something. State of Play.
Yeah, I saw that.
Go ahead, Mitch.
I was just gonna say, like, there's also, as you said, that possible additional reveal of a long dead PlayStation Hallmark franchise that's going to be revealed for PlayStation 5 launch title. But there's also there's also there's also Godfall, which I mean obviously isn't everyone's cup of tea, and it's another sort of loot based game, so that that's a whole thing. But I mean, there's definitely other. Also, we don't know the full extent of the what's it called? The backwards compatibility. We don't know the full extent of that yet, which I was really hoping that they'd get into more with the showcase event they had back in June. But
not to get into it too much, but like the thing about Godfall as well is launch titles have a long history of sucking. And
Yeah.
Godfall very much looks like one of those games where it's like, yeah, this looks kind of cool, but also this is probably gonna suck.
Yeah, I'm slightly more optimistic for it, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, I can easily see this sucking.
I mean, Godfall sounds like the most AAA game title I've ever heard in my life. Like, that is just the most edgiest attempt to be edgy.
It's not.
Well, look at our game. It's called Godfall.
It's not clicking with me at all. Like, I'm getting it on PC anyway if I do get it, but it looks generic to me. In terms of me, I will get it day one because I will be trading in my PS4 and my Xbox towards it. So it shouldn't cost me as much, and I'll be trading in all my third-party games because I don't play third-party on PlayStation anymore. I play on PC now, so so my PlayStation 5 might not cost me that much. It should maybe if I get it's like $200, I'd be golden. But
I know this is super random, but like that reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game where you would like sacrifice 2 monsters to get a level 8 monster.
That's what I'm doing. I'm summoning the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
I know, I'm sacrificing my PS4 and my Xbox.
That's what I'm doing.
For Blue Eyes White Dragon. Anyway,
explosion and lights and everything.
That's right. Everybody loses their life points, except in real life.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna buy any accessories or anything with it? Like anything extra with it? Like headphones or? I know it's expensive. I know it's expensive, but
probably not day one.
Yeah.
But that headset is tempting if it lives up to that whole 3D audio thing they're talking about.
Yeah.
And if that headset is a requirement to get the most out of that.
Have you guys ever tried 3D audio like on YouTube or anything? Because there's videos like that. It's weird.
I don't think
it's so weird.
They like walking around.
3D audio is so weird.
It's like being in an IMAX theater, right?
Yeah. No, like you listen to. Go ahead. I'll let you go.
No, I was gonna say I was on the bus once and I opened this Twitter video at like not knowing that it had the 3D audio of the portal scene from Endgame. So when I heard, I think it was Falcon or whatever, just say it's like on your left, like right behind me. I'm like, holy shit! What?
Yeah.
Like it's so
crazy.
I don't want to say. Yeah, it's like gets into that uncanny valley sort of area where it's like, oh, okay, this is too weird. I'm not sure how I like it, but I think for games.
I was listening to Queen in 3D audio, and it sounded like Freddie Mercury was in my ear, and he's like walking behind me.
Wow.
He's walking in my other ear, and he's like, "Mama," like in my ear, and he walks around.
Calm down, you sad man.
That just weirds me out. Yeah.
It's uncanny
There's
valley.
like a movie theater right nearby that has this advertisement for 3D surround sound audio, and it's like it's all around you, and they say that like in a very whispering tone. Every time they do it, I'm like, that's just creepy. It doesn't make me want to watch your movie. It just makes me feel like you're watching me. Like,
that reminds me though, I can't wait to play a horror game in 3D audio. That'd be fun. You know what I mean?
Oh god,
especially in VR. 3D audio with VR, that's gonna be fun.
Let's play PT in VR with 3D audio.
Everybody. Oh, I'm definitely doing if Resident Evil 8's in VR. Oh, definitely. I'm playing that in 3D.
Do you know what I've just decided that I really want? I want them to put a demo, because you know how they've got the Playroom thing for like a tech demo for the controller.
Yep.
I think they should put a tech demo on the PS5 where it's just Mark Cerny in 3D audio, ASMR, talking you through how it all works.
Specs, giving you all the specs.
Yeah.
In a very sexual way. Specs. 4K, 3D audio. Yeah. It's gonna be ASMR video.
Yeah, just give me more Mark Cerny.
Oh, we need that.
My
Mark Cerny ASMR video, talking about specs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that leads to the next topic, the PS5 controller. Did you guys watch the Geoff Keighley test with the DualSense?
Yeah.
I watched some of it.
Yeah, it wasn't that interesting, but
it's tough to. I mean, I went in thinking, you can't really show me how the controller works through a video. Yeah. This is one of those things you have to use for yourself.
He's like, oh geez, this is fun. Like, whoa, wow, this is really fun. Like, oh, I can feel it. That was the whole video.
I'll take your word for it, Geoff.
Yeah, thanks, Geoff.
Just expecting a teleprompter in the background of the shot, just telling him exactly what to say and feel. It's like, oh wow, I feel the sand. Nope, the water. I mean, the sand. I got it right the first time.
Just like the shadow of a person holding up a gun to Geoff Keighley's head. Oh yeah, this is great. I love this. This is so fun. Help me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because people think he's a huge like Sony fanboy. Like I always see that in the comments. Oh, you
do?
Yeah, they always call him a shill because he always seems to, in quotes, bash Xbox, and he's always like ecstatic about PlayStation. I
Well,
always
I don't
hear,
know, man.
I see it all the time.
Didn't he literally hold the Microsoft? Like,
Yeah.
didn't he literally like give
I know,
Microsoft the
I agree.
platform for their showcase yesterday?
I know.
But Mitch, that's a cover. That's obviously a cover for him being.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's covering
He's a
his
pony.
tracks here, Mitch.
He's a pony. He rides
Oh yeah, he was paid off. He was paid off. It
That's
makes
right.
sense.
God.
I mean,
Fall.
I pretty much can figure out what it's gonna be like. You know, you're probably gonna feel like if you're like pulling back on a bow, you're gonna feel like it's like actually in your hand. And the only thing I don't understand is the mic and like how, like the built-in mic, like how that's gonna work. Like apparently you can noise cancel. You know what I mean? Like how do you like when you're talking to people when you're talking to people and you're hitting the buttons? Like how does that work? Like they're not gonna hear the buttons. Because if I do this, you hear the banging, right? So how do you?
Yeah.
No idea, but
That's what I want to know.
why I'm really excited. I think probably more than most people for the adaptive triggers because
Yeah.
it feels like one of those things like when the PlayStation 4 launched with the touchpad, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, the Xbox doesn't have this. It's not that useful, and it was just one of them. It ended up being a gimmick that only the first-party titles used, and they didn't even use it most of the time very well.
No.
But adaptive triggers feel, even though like Xbox doesn't have it, I don't think it feels like one of those things where it seems maybe easy enough to implement even for third parties, and it feels like an innovative and a good way to sort of get you more immersed in the experience.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just use they just use like the touchpad for the map button. I will say though, going back to Ghost of Tsushima for a split second here, man, that game makes good use of the touchpad. I mean, just,
that's true.
Yeah, really good use
with the wind. And everything,
so I just want to highlight that. Yeah, with the wind, with the flute, with the bowing, you do so much with just the touchpad. Anyway, just want to say that.
Fran? Did you watch the Geoff Keighley thing?
Yeah, I watched it, and I like the idea of the adaptive triggers.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, I haven't seen anybody use any other example apart from you can feel the bow when you pull it back.
That's true.
I want to see what other examples is that going to be used, or is it just going to be like it clicks a little bit when you press like shoot, you know?
One other one that I've heard quite a lot is sorry, Mitch, is like racing games. So like you'll feel the different textures of ground that you're driving across, like gravel or tarmac or dirt and that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's right. I can imagine it in my head, honestly.
No, wait, hang on. Sorry, I'm thinking of the new HD Rumble thing.
Yeah,
it was actually. It was more like you'll feel the tension of like I getting to the end of the rev counter or something like that, or putting the pedal down, you know.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I want to know like if like especially for Miles Morales, if Insomniac have done anything with like the webs and all that, like when you swing, like if they're gonna have different sort of like different sort of resistances.
Don't say stuff like that, Mitch. You're gonna make me want to buy PS5 even earlier.
It adds G-force to the controller, so when you're actually falling, you can feel it. When you're swinging, you can feel it.
And cuts with its very own industry level like fan that just sort of bellows right at you depending on the game.
You can just feel the sweat accumulate on Miles's face. It's great.
I would imagine they're actually going to implement something in Miles Morales because they're doing it in Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, they are too.
And it can.
Yeah.
It can't like check your heart rate and things like that, can it? Like.
I don't think so. That was. I think I know what you're talking about though. There was a patent for something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
But most of those patents, they just they never come to life. So.
Can you imagine if you're playing like a horror game and like it can detect your heart beating fast and like you're making too much noise or something and it's like. You can do something really cool with that, but
yeah, like can you imagine if you're playing a horror game and Sony's collecting data on your heart rate?
Yeah,
that sounds fantastic.
Remember when everyone thought Remember when everyone thought the PS5 controller would like have a touch screen on it, like in the touchpad area? Like that would just be an extra touch screen that you can use mid game or something.
That would be too much, I think.
But here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Is this too gimmicky where it's gonna like just hurt the battery and no one's really gonna use it? Because the PS4 has the built-in mic, not mic, the speaker and the touch screen and everything, but like most games didn't really utilize it that well, and it kind of just, and then the everything just kind of wasted the battery. The battery life only lasted like an hour. It only lasted like an hour or two, so Is this more of a gimmick, or is this gonna be something legit?
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
You
sorry,
go,
go.
James.
Okay, I can't imagine like things like the tension in the buttons in the triggers will drain that much battery life.
Yeah,
But I'm sure they've
yeah.
increased the battery life quite a bit
I'm
with it
sure.
being a next gen thing. So
Yeah, that was the big
I
down.
hope so.
That was the big problem with the PS4 because the controller just died too quick. But that's more because of light, though. But what I mean is, like, are people gonna actually? You think games are really gonna utilize the controller as much, like the DualSense, or is this gonna be some games mostly first party that do it?
well, yeah, like I was saying, like I think the steps forward that they're taking are more. They're less gimmicky than last gen stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the first party games will definitely use it.
Yeah.
Obviously, because well, they kind of have to.
Right.
But I think third parties, more third parties will use that sort of stuff than they have been
Mhm.
this gen.
Mm-hmm. You guys have anything else to add to the DualSense, or?
I mean, I like the way the controller works, and I hope it runs well.
Yeah.
I like the sound of the bow thing. I mean,
Yeah.
if they don't make use of that with New Horizon Zero Dawn, then I don't know what they're doing. But
Right.
They should have called
otherwise-
it that. Sorry, they should have called it Horizon New Horizon.
Yeah, they should have called it New Horizon.
I like
I don't know
I
why.
actually like that.
You know what? There's a local place that distributes food around here called New Horizons. So I just think about that place.
We didn't mention the speaker. I heard it was it's a lot louder. The speaker's really good on the controller. I heard just what Geoff said. And he did an interview too, but it was a very standard, corporate interview. Oh, we're very happy.
Yeah.
With it. Yeah. So it wasn't. If you didn't watch it, you didn't miss anything really. So.
I really liked when Geoff held the speaker, the microphone up to his microphone, the speaker up to his microphone, and he
Yeah.
was like, "Can you hear this, guys? Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Can you hear this?"
Nothing.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it.
I do like it.
No.
I do like that we're getting Astrobots for free with it, so you can test it out and stuff. And I love Astrobots because I love the VR game, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I think you're really gonna be able to test it with that game. But yeah, we'll see how it goes in the future. So
What-
go ahead.
One last thing I'll add. I think the biggest thing, like with the Astro's Playroom, I'm glad it's an actual sort of a game instead of just a glorified tech demo, because I
Right.
spent 10 minutes in Astro's Playroom or whatever it was called, on the when they have it pre-installed on the PS4.
Mhm.
It did not hold my interest whatsoever.
Yeah.
But this actually
That's
seems,
fair.
it seems like an actual game,
Yeah,
less
yeah.
than a tech demo. So I think that's definitely the much more inviting and pleasing, I think, word I could use, pleasing way to actually, incentivize people to actually check out what, the DualSense can be like, and actually go, okay, it does this,
Right.
it does this. I'm fully prepared for the PlayStation 5 now.
Right.
It's not necessarily something you can easily just
Right.
ignore or whatever.
If you
That's me though.
Yeah, if you guys haven't played Astrobot's Rescue Mission yet, I fully recommend it. It's the best game on PlayStation VR in my opinion. I think it's fantastic.
really?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of those 10 out of 10 games. It's one of those
Yeah.
pioneers of the genre.
I know a lot of people were saying it was when it came out. A lot of people were saying it was the Mario 64
Absolutely.
of VR.
It really is because way you can look around and the design and of it, it's crazy. You have to try it. Speaking of that, do you guys think there's gonna be a VR 2?
Yeah, they have said that
No.
I'm pretty sure they've said that there's going
close
to
to
be a
launch.
VR.
Do you think it'll be close to launch?
Really?
Oh no, I don't think it'll be
Relatively,
close to launch.
within 6 months. Do you think?
No, I
after
think it'll be at least a year out.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that uses VR?
Yeah.
I have the VR, but I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. Yeah, VR is still kind of in the black and white phase. We're still in the silent movie phase. God knows what's going to be in 20 years. Okay, so next one. Let's talk about Miles Morales is in 60 frames per second.
Ooh.
What do you guys think about that? Do you guys would you guys prefer if the game had the graphics were a little worse, but the frame rate was 60 frames, or do you prefer 30 frames and great graphics? If you had the choice, which one do you resolution or performance?
Someone else goes.
I think there's I think it depends on the game a lot of the time. But
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Spider-Man, I think that's one of the games that could benefit a lot from 60 FPS.
Definitely.
Just because of things like swinging around and how the combat is so fluid in that game.
right.
That you want a smooth experience.
Absolutely. Dory, what do you think?
Look, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I feel like this is news I should be excited about, but I'm struggling to get excited. I'm like, okay, I mean, cool. Like, I don't know. I'm not a big tech person, and so I get that 60 FPS is like impressive and stuff, but it just doesn't resonate with me. But hey, I mean, cool for Miles Morales. I hope it's a great game either way.
I mean, James can speak on this too, because we're PC. We play on PC too. For 60 frames per second is a big difference between 30 and 60. Like, in my opinion, it really should be the standard nowadays. Like in 2020, like.
But that's the thing. Like, 60. I agree with you. 60 FPS does make a big difference, and I most of the time do prefer it.
Yep.
But if a game has 30 FPS and it's not like a competitive,
it's fine
game that really suffers. I feel I get used to it pretty quickly.
It's fine, yeah, but for a lot of people though, like once they go to 60, they can't go back. It's like impossible for them. It's one of those things. Like Ghost of Tsushima, I think would be really good in 60 because sometimes that game has frame drops and like that game would look gorgeous in 60 frames. Like it really is a big difference. Mitch, what do you think?
I mean, quickly on. I'll just quickly mention. I think if The Last of Us Part 2 was in 60 frames per second, I'm not sure what effect that would have on like the overall thing, because I think it being in 30 frames per second kind of like helps it feel like more grounded and more like a movie, if that makes sense. Like you're actually kind of like watching something really cinematic. But
I think a lot of people would disagree with you on that one. I think that game would be even better in 60 frames.
Yeah.
Like that would have been phenomenal. Like.
I'll just have to wait and see what it actually looks like if we get, if we get to play it in 60 frames per second in the future. But I think just in my mind, I think it's perfectly fine as it is in 30 frames per second, which I know that there's probably a
console
lot of
guys.
going,
I'm just kidding.
I think the thing is. I think the thing is, especially with consoles, it's less about what frames per second you can get up to, and more about what frames per second you can hold steady.
Absolutely.
Because if it's fluctuating up and down, that takes you out. That's not satisfying.
100%.
Right, like Last of Us Part 2, I was watching the Digital Foundry video on it, and it has pretty consistent 30 frames, and the lowest it dips is like 27 frames, and that's usually only if like rushing water or something really busy is going on. So like that game is super consistent even if it's not 60 frames, and I think for me anyway, personally, that matters more, right? Like I'd rather have a 30 frame per second game that is more consistent than a 60 frame per second that looks impressive when it works but bad when it doesn't.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What do you think, Fran?
I think that 60 frames per second, like everything above that, will become standard at some point, through the next generation.
For sure.
But I'm not gonna be like outraged or upset.
Right.
We have a few launch games that run at 30 or not 60, because I've been playing games at 30 FPS for so long that what's a few months difference of those games?
You're right. If you're a console guy mostly, and you play consoles like 95% of the time, you're really not going to tell the difference. You know what I mean? Like you're 30, you're used to 30. You know what I mean? But when you're playing like Jedi Fallen Order in 120 frames per second, oof, like it's just one of those things. but at the same time, it costs me like a lot more money to do that. So you know what I mean? It balances out.
Yeah, it I don't want to say risk reward, but it's kind of like one of those things that you pay that. You pay the toll and you get the the reward of sweet 60 FPS.
That's exactly why I don't think those consoles are going to be as cheap as people may think, just because if it's like a 1660 Ti or something like that, you're not getting that kind of PC for that budget. You know what I mean? So because I know because pretty much every first party Xbox game is going to be 60 frames per second. So do you guys think all the first party PlayStation games are probably going to have that standard in the future?
I don't think all of them, but I think a decent chunk of them probably, based on what we're seeing across Xbox as well. I think a lot of games at the start of this gen are going to have 60, just because like we're getting to that point, and I feel like maybe you could have made this statement at the start of every generation, but I feel like we're getting to that point where graphics are starting to slow as they like they're not getting better as quickly as they would have before.
Well, that's the thing.
And so like the power's going into more stuff like performance.
Absolutely, because people when the PS5 show came out and they showed Ratchet and Clank and things like that, people said that doesn't look anything. That looks like a PS4 game. Why does that look so much better? But what people don't understand is the frame rate and the way like it processes that information. The way you can switch between the levels like that. Yeah, the loading times. Like that. Like my PS4 would have taken. It would have been like a rocket ship. The thing would have flew out my house.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like with the PlayStation 5 showcase, I saw. I think the best example of that is Gran Turismo 7. Like I saw that trailer for Gran Turismo 7, and I was like, "Oh wait, this looks pretty much identical to Gran Turismo Sport."
You're not.
And like, I'll admit I was a little disappointed to see that at the start. But then, you know, I started to realize, wait a second, Gran Turismo Sport is already the best looking game I've ever seen. So,
this generation is going to be about performance and not about graphics. You're not going to see a huge leap. You know what I mean? It's pretty much, it's just the standard's going to start. We're going to start slowly transitioning into 60 frames per second, and then by then,
I'm all here for.
And by then we'll be in 4K, 120 frames per second, but on PC. So, no, I'm just playing. Next we'll do Crash 4 gameplay. Did you guys watch the gameplay of Crash 4 today?
There was gameplay?
Yeah, there was. It was like this morning. My time.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I just got up my time.
No worries. I added this last minute.
No, it's perfectly fine.
Mitch, when you woke up, was the first thing you looked at your computer screen and went, "Wow, Crash 4! I can't believe it." Let me just think right.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I think I woke up on my alarm and then I went straight to Discord and said, "Okay, guys, I'll be on in a couple minutes. Just let me wake up."
Again, just highlighting the national differences between all of us. Some of us have been awake for 12 hours. Some of us are waking up after 12.
But wait a minute, Mitch. You're a day ahead of us. So didn't the Crash gameplay come out yesterday for you?
I know.
Yeah, you got me.
Mitch already knew about it. He's playing dumb. I saw the gameplay about an hour ago or something. I mean, I liked it. It's just the Insane Trilogy with like a few. We were talking about this, but it's just the Insane Trilogy with a few extra additions.
Yep, it's just more Crash.
I have nothing against that. I'm totally fine with. I believe it's Toys for Bob who did amazing with Spyro. I think they'll do great again. I feel like I've kind of left behind Crashes. I tried CTR and I tried Insane and I couldn't get into either. I felt really bad too because I love that stuff as a kid, but racing games haven't aged well for me, and I am not good at platformers, and like I hate starting over.
To be fair, a lot of people I know that like Crash Team Racing growing up, including myself, actually prefer the original. There was something about the remake that didn't click with people. Like I don't know if they changed something. I was never really a big Crash Team Racing fan. In terms of the Insane Trilogy, though, I actually found the Insane Trilogy harder just because it adds a modern 3D like physics to it. So the platforms, it's easier to slip off. Did you notice that? So it's actually harder. It's actually harder than the original.
It is. And they Vicarious Visions actually released. I don't know if they released a statement, but they did mention in interviews that yes, some of the code wasn't quite up to par or something like that, and so some of and this is actually only specifically I think in the first game, and so the first game is harder than the other two. And the other two are a little easier. Yeah,
the first game is like everybody starts with the first game and they're like
I couldn't get past the castle. I never got past it. My partner and I just gave up. We're like, you know what? Heck this. Like we've been at this for so long, and I'm just like, it's not worth it.
6 months.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild.
Isn't it funny how hard games were back then? Like I played that game when I was like 3. You know what I mean? Like the original one.
You beat in your sleep.
Was I better at games when I was little? I was like, what? I did beat it, but I was like, it was hard. The first game is really hard. Like Crash 3 is not that bad because there's a lot of like gimmicks in it. There's a lot of like kart racing in it, and then like you ride in an airplane, things like that. So there's a lot more gimmicks to that one, but yeah, Crash 1 is just oof. Fran, did you watch the gameplay, or what do you think?
Yeah, and it's more Crash. That's all I have to say, really.
Yeah, really, that's pretty good.
It's more.
Yeah, they added a little extra features, but other than that, yeah, it's just more Crash. All right, speaking of Crash, our histories for PlayStation, the big topic of the day. What's up, PlayStation fans? Thank you for watching PS Premiere's podcast. We record every Friday night and upload every podcast at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. If you like what you heard, we appreciate any support by clicking the like button and subscribing.